I mean, there's some guys still going through it right now. You know, it's a little later start for us today, so we'll see where we're at. Nothing overly alarming at the moment.
What did you notice with Joe? I know he's banged up quite a bit.
Bruised, yeah. I mean, he took some good hits, you know, but I think just talking to him, the left arm was more just a hit, bruise, so soreness. But
Ribs, just an arm thing.
yeah, that's my understanding. Yeah.
On that 84-yard touchdown, other than just a missed tackle, did you see anything from an effort standpoint that stood out?
You know, it looked like people just thought he was going out of bounds or out of bounds already, and so. But it's a, you know, obviously it's not a good look on tape to see that. Those are guys we count on that are about the right stuff, and so it's unfortunate, but we got to find a way to get him out of bounds, to get him on the ground, finish the playoff.
When you went back and looked at the tape, did you see anything that enabled them to be so successful offensively after kind of struggling for the first 3 quarters?
They're an explosive group, and we just gave them some momentum. You know, we gave them a short field. Lamar had that scramble down to the 1 yard line. You know, we're really guys are plastered on those receivers on the goal line because the last time he jumped out of bounds and threw a touchdown pass. You know, and so you got that in the back of your heads, and he makes a tremendous play, gets them down to the 1. And then next play was next drive was the 83-yard touchdown, and now all of a sudden they got hope. They're at home, they got hope. The crowd's back into it. And so kind of missed our opportunity for the knockout punch there in the late third quarter. We had the ball up 2 scores, and but that's on us just to find a way to get a stop, keep putting points on the board. There's still plenty of opportunity there, and unfortunately we weren't able to get it done.
To continue the boxing metaphor, why do you think y'all, as you kind of go on overnight, why do you think you've had teams on the ropes throughout the years and just can't land that final shot?
Well, I think over the years we have won some of these games, you know, and so this year just hasn't gone our way. There's still opportunity left. I think this team knows we're in the thick of it at the end, and we've come up a play short a couple times, which is disappointing and frustrating, but that doesn't define what we are and what our season is going to be. We're going to have more opportunity, and you know, I feel like we've got the right guys to take advantage of that opportunity when it comes at us next.
When you were making their allowed in the fourth quarter, you had 2 drives. You came up with no points on their side within Ravens territory. How big was that?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, one of them we were up 1, we were in field goal range and wanted to go up 8, didn't want to go up 4. You know, felt confident that we would make the field goal, but at the same time, it's the type of game where you just felt like you needed that maximum lead. Just how dangerous they are. You watch Lamar scramble around back there 20 yards deep for 20 seconds, and anything can happen. It doesn't matter who's covering who. That's what happens when you play them sometimes. And so just wanted to put the ball in Joe's hands, and you could see those last 2 drives of the games. When you do that, he takes you down and makes some big plays for us. And so that was the mindset there, was just be aggressive in that fourth and 2 and try to get an 8-point lead.
How would you describe your confidence in Evan right now?
High. I mean, I know hasn't been exactly the type of season the whole operation has envisioned, but there's no question I didn't doubt for a second that we would make the field goal. I didn't want 3 points there, I wanted 7 points.
Understanding that penalties were part of the 2-point conversion play at the very end, how do you feel about just the way the play unfolded and the way it looked?
Well, anytime it doesn't work, you're disappointed and you want to evaluate and figure out what the best decision is. Absolutely would go for it again. That wouldn't change for me. Just it didn't go our way, and so again, you got to think about the next time we're in that situation, evaluate what our best options are. Jamar's having a heck of a game. You know, he's a big part of that progression. Tanner had some separation there, so we tried to put it on him real quick, and it didn't work out, but certainly when you got a star player like Jamar, you got to find ways to put him in the best position, and there was going to be an opportunity if we determined we needed to progress, but I don't question for 1 second Joe's decision. There's a window there right on the goal line, and it just came up a little short there.
The decision to go for 2 for you, is it something you make before the game? If it comes down to this, some of you as analysts maybe in the
No.
gut in the moment.
No, that was a fourth. I mean, I could see where this is headed a mile away. You know, in the fourth quarter, you got to have to make that decision. So when they were driving, that was my conversation, on the offensive headset about let's get our 2-point play ready, because if we score with little time on the clock, 30 to 50 seconds or less, let's go for 2. And if it was more than that and you felt like we could tie the game and have time after 3 and out to get the ball back for a field goal, that would have changed my thinking. But there, I thought that's the last time we're going to touch the ball in this game offensively, and so let's go for the win.
You've had Sam in the headset for long enough. At this point now, do you need him to probabilities, or do you just go ahead and say, hey, like, you know, what in conversation with Sam?
It's a ongoing conversation throughout. Now, don't get it twisted. We still meet before the game, so that decision wasn't necessarily made before the game because that's a unique in-game situation that pops up. But we always meet. You know, during the week, Sam sends us all the information he's got. We meet on Saturday morning, which this week was a different week. And then in game, he does a great job of knowing when to speak and when I want the information, and I'm asking questions. And so I thought our dialogue there was really good.
So that came when they were driving.
Yeah, that's when you got to. I mean, that's when you got to make those decisions. I'm on the defensive headset, but at the same time, flipping back to make sure everyone's thinking through the situation and what the play calls are going to be. And we'd called a lot. You know, part of the. It's not a problem. It's a good problem to have. We had a lot of low inside the 5-yard line calls in that game. You just look at the first drive. I mean, we carry 7 or 8 throws there, and we called almost all of them. And the 2-point play we felt good about. It's a good play. It's good progression. It's got quick answers, and if the play extends, it's got people on the move to either draw a penalty or uncover for a touchdown like we do so often. And it didn't work out for us.
I guess I think that's what I think our whole sheet was wrong, but I think that's what we're on the 2-point conversion. I guess if we had to do it over again, maybe it would have extended. Maybe.
You'd have to ask Joe that question again. I don't fault. Those are bang windows down there, and there's an opportunity right there with Tanner and the air we had, and there's times where that play works out for you right on the goal line, and you go up one.
I mean, we did score a touchdown. I mean, Hudson did score a touchdown. I don't know what the play was, but we had scored a touchdown.
Yeah, it was on a scramble. It was on an extended play.
Was that the play that was drawn up before the timeout, or did you
Yeah.
see anything change?
So the timeout was just trying to get a free play. That's all it was. It's a shift. It's a motion. There's no play called. It's a unique situation where you have a timeout to burn at the end of the half or the end of the game. It's a very unique situation, and so that was a time to use it. So you're trying to cadence them, get them to jump, snap the ball, get a free play, similar to what we scored on against San Francisco last year to Dre. And so you just steal a free play where you know you're going to get the ball in the 1, but you get a shot at the 2-point play, and then you bang in the timeout with 1 second. Go ahead, Mike. I know you've been waiting.
After a game, Joe takes 13 quarterback hits, and it almost felt like more times than that he hit the turf. What are your discussions like, coaching staff with the players, with Joe rather, about minimizing that?
Well, Joe knew what the plan was, and he was fully on board with that. And we get to a point in the second half where we're going to put the ball in his hands. And part of the issue with that is you're going to drop back a lot, and we were trying to change the protections, play action protections, to change up the looks for the line. But they, after a while, they know the drill, and they're in pass rush mode. And so, but the thing with Joe as well is he's going to wait to the last second, like I said last night, to make sure guys can uncover. And so part of that is he knows he's going to end up taking some hits because he's waiting until the last second to get the ball off, to give Jamar one more half second, because they were pretty tight in coverage. It wasn't like guys were running wide open. And so sometimes he needs to extend the play, and it's going to lead to a hit. It's going to lead to criticism of the line. That's how the whole thing works. I think when you throw it, the high 50s against a good team that's got good playmakers, there's going to be some of that. We want to minimize that as best we can. That's not the type of game we're always trying to play, but that was certainly the type of game we knew we signed up for last night.
How did you evaluate, coaching staff evaluate the offensive line and their protection?
It gives, truthfully, there's a lot of one-on-ones that are really good on tape. There's some losses in there. I think Matabuke is a hell of a rusher. I think Travis Jones has a lot of power and can win. So when you give them that many opportunities, those guys make a lot of money too. They're high draft picks. They're going to win theirs. We expect to win all of them, but that's just the way it goes. And Joe does a good job kind of feeling that, but keeping his eyes downfield and being strong in the pocket and navigating. And so that's what happens when you play them sometimes.
When you watch the film, were you surprised that there weren't 1 or 2 more up in the passer calls?
I think, I've got to fight harder for Joe to get some of that because he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to disrupt from his flow in the game. But, that's just things I got to talk with him about. And they call it like they see it. I respect that. I just got to keep fighting for some of that stuff because you don't want to lose him on a play that's well after the play's over.
Joe said he doesn't typically get those calls, the late hits, the roughing the passer. He said that last night. Is that something you noticed with him? Because a lot of star quarterbacks do get those calls.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the data to know if they really do or don't.
Is that something you raise to the league level, or is that better used in game to have those?
Yeah, it's a little bit of all. I just always handle it behind the scenes.
I know you're talking about the offensive line play, but as a whole, how would you rate how do you feel like the interior has been? That
Yeah, I think they give us enough to win, and I think they got some really tough matchups too. And there's been some times you're going to be isolated one-on-one with the 3 technique. That's a good rusher over and over. When you throw it 50-something times, you're going to get those isolation plays. And those guys are battling their tails off and got a lot of confidence in them.
How close was Orlando to being able
Really close. Really close, just not – I didn't feel comfortable putting him in that position. You know, he's a guy who's telling you he can play, and he always wants to play through it, and – he just didn't. I didn't feel right about it right up there at the very end, and thought Cody stepped in and did a really nice job for us. We'll see where Orlando progresses here with a longer week to get there, but you just got to be mindful of these guys. They're going to tell you one thing that they can do it, and you got to protect them from themselves. Same. I think he was close. Again, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. With the quad injury, you got to be very careful, but I think he's progressed along well. I'm going to let Charlie, and then I'll come back to you, Kelsey.
There have been games over the years where he was dealing with this soft tissue thing, and he was available for goal line plays.
Yeah.
Was that at all a consideration?
I mean, yeah, that could have been a consideration. I didn't, with the way the inactives were, we were going to need everybody up that we had. You know, we carry the 4 tight ends that we got that were up for different reasons. And so, again, it wasn't a position where we could carry that extra receiver for that reason, for such a minimal part of the game. So we just, and then you're always tempted to play him more, and that's probably not the right thing to do. Go ahead.
What are you guys as a coaching staff hoping to get out of this mini bye weekend that you have?
Get a chance to just reevaluate where we're at. It's a 1-game season going forward. I only say that because we got the bye right after it. So, of course, we're always, as you hear me in here, just talk about the next game. But this is truly a chance to get refreshed. It's been a long year, 10 games, you know, grinding through it. Short week takes a real toll on you, especially a road game. I know you all got back at the same time we did, maybe even later. So, again, just everyone get their minds right this weekend. And there's still plenty of work to do and get ahead on the Chargers. They play the Titans this weekend, so you get a chance to watch that game and make sure we're putting our best foot forward starting on Monday.
What did you think of Jermaine playing Cincinnati last week?
Yeah, Jermaine continues to progress well. I thought his attention to detail during the week, we had him in on a lot of stuff. He did a great job handling all of it. He had some opportunities in the game that just didn't quite work out. He had the strike route that he caught down in the low red zone. There was some other stuff. He did it just as we had detailed, kind of being lazy, coming off the ball on purpose, and then burst in on a double move. And so I thought he did a good job with the attention to detail. I thought that he and Joe were on the same page with a lot of stuff. Joe spent a lot of time with him during the week, telling him what he wanted. And I like Jermaine's attitude and enthusiasm. And didn't get a lot of opportunities that came his way, but we'll keep progressing him in the system.
In the big picture, how big is it for him to have that kind of attention to detail throughout the week, given the week earlier?
Yeah, he's remorseful for what happened. And, you know, he gave us our best this week, brought a lot of energy. You could see how important it is to him. And so, again, we're going to continue to give him opportunities to progress.
How did you evaluate the tackling last night specifically?
I thought there was a lot of really good stuff, and then there's 4 or 5 that stand out that got to be better, you know. And they gone 42 straight games with over 100 yards rushing, and that was the first one that they hadn't. And so that's usually pretty good tackling. And so, again, that's – but there are some moments where we got to get them on the ground and some plays where they got a little bit of extra, and that's tough. Those are the things we got to clean up.
Cam Taylor-Britt, specifically where he's at this point in the season, where can you get more there down the home?
Consistency. I think the consistency is the big thing.
You talked about the 2-point, talked about like the deep shots on 3rd and 4th and 2.
Yeah.
You mentioned this yesterday. Like, how much can you just live with Burrow's an elite processor? Burrow's going to process it. No one's going to back him.
Yeah. It's not always going to work out, you know, and we'll deal with the consequences when they don't. But the process that led us to those was the right process, you know, and so, again, sometimes when you just miss by a couple inches, that's football. And, you know, but again, not regretful of those decisions. I think our players were in a good position. They made a lot of plays for us. You know, those were plays that ultimately the play call or the play didn't work out for us, but there were so many times where it did. And so, again, I'm appreciative of the players. They believed in the plan. They executed it. Guys were tired. We had 4 receivers up that ran that many routes. And so you're trying to balance all that as you're watching Jamar run down the field, and trying to give him a play off. And I thought the coaches did a great job during the week, short week, getting them ready. I thought the guys fought their tails off throughout the game in an emotional game on the road in that tough environment. Our guys gave us everything they had, and it sucks for them that we came up short, but We know we're a good football team, and we just got to take advantage of the opportunities because we're cutting the opportunities short here.
And
And
around a more conditioned athlete than Jamar.
no, he's one of the top athletes on planet Earth. I mean, that's as simple as you can put it. I mean, it's not just about the NFL; it's about planet Earth. He's one of the best to do it.
How is he not better this year? It felt like he.
I don't know. You know, it's you say gotten better. He's you think about the Arizona game last year, you just think about all the things he's done for us, and you really just can't get him the ball enough. And they know that. They know that. I mean, that's everything is cloud and double, and I think Pitch has done an excellent job of formulating plans to make sure that no one can ever take him away. And you know, he and Riscotti and Troy, you know, they work on the meat of that early in the week, and I think that's really paid off for us because we feel like you can cloud him, you can double him. We're still going to create opportunities for him to get the ball and be targeted, and sometimes Joe's going to have to buy time to get away from those doubles and those cloud looks, and everybody's on the same page. You know, I think that's what you see, and it paid off for us last night.
I mean, he's had these coverages before, you know, down through the years, and yet his numbers are, you know, really unbelievable for a guy getting clouded, but he was
Yeah.
getting clouded the previous years.
Yeah.
What's the difference there? The plan?
No, I mean it's different. Sometimes you get T in there. You're trying to get T as targets too, and so sometimes T is then generating a one-on-one, a true one-on-one when some of that's happening. And so when T's out there, more often that ball ends up going to him. Whereas you know these other guys, they're working their tails off too, but there's more of a focused effort to get it to Jamar when especially when T's not out there.
How do you push the message for the team to, you know, keep going and maybe not
Yeah.
check out after, you know, so many close?
They see it. They see it. They're not checking out. They see where we're at. They see the opportunity that's in front of us. We harp on that quite a bit. We talked about having momentum going into this bye week. We talked about that 2 weeks ago. And so this is a big one for us, this Chargers game, getting momentum going into the bye week before that last surge is going to take place. But already talked to guys this morning. Guys are in a good headspace. They see the opportunity that's in front of us, and they're committed to making sure that we can find some wins and string this thing together.
Compare Jamar's performance last night to the performance against Kansas City. The numbers are pretty much the same, 11, almost 266.
Very similar. Very. That's a great point. Very similar. The routes were the same route family that he caught the last long one on to Kansas City. He caught two of them against Kansas City a couple years ago. So very similar type of game, to be quite honest with you. And you know, again, shows why he's an elite player. It's big time games, big time stages, and he rose the challenge.
Are there ways to use him pre-snap that you haven't yet? Is there still more? I mean, it seems like you've used every possible motion spot
Yeah.
you could be at this point. I mean, and how has that gone with him being able to handle that? 15
I mean, it's amazing how much he can handle. Truthfully, it's some of the stuff would confuse me the first time I see it on the plan, you know. And I'm trying to think through as we're in the walkthrough where exactly we want him, and he just needs a quick reminder, and he's there. He's got it. He gets it all. And maybe when guys know they're getting the ball, there's a little more. But he's an amazing what he can take in, digest. It's hard to really articulate without people sitting in a meeting and just watching the plan through the week and understanding what we put Jamar through. And he answers the bell every single time. And he's got tremendous football IQ and understanding of what our offense is and what we're trying to do with him. And again, he answers the challenge every time.
Has there ever been a point in this process where you've been like, maybe we just stop piling more stuff on him, or is that there never even been a single doubt in that as you build all?
No, there was. He's given me feedback one time that he didn't like. He's like, I don't need that. We were just trying to get him one more touch, and two actually now that come to my mind. One he said no, and one Joe said let's not do that. So it's, and I won't get into what the plays are. They're silly plays, but you know, he can handle it all, and just his attitude. You know, like as a premier receiver in this league, just the way he communicates and handles himself, I don't take that for granted, you know, because I know what it can look like. I've seen it, and just the way that he goes about his business, the professional, the leader he is, you know, like he doesn't have a captain on his chest, but to me he's a captain. Like his attitude and the way that he helps these younger guys along, and just his positiveness in the locker room, the way that he practices. He's one of the hardest practicing players in the league. And so, again, to me, that's a captain, whether he's got it on his chest or not. He shows all those traits.
How encouraging is it that y'all were so explosive against split safety looks yesterday?
I mean, our expectation is to be explosive when they give you the opportunity. You're not always trying to force it. And that's where Joe's the best in the world, at just not forcing it just to force it, because he knows those moments will come and he's going to capitalize them when they come. But at the same time, does a great job when he feels the softness of the defense and just quickly, not even really letting the progression play out sometimes to see how it's going to be, to just, man, I'm going to punish them underneath real quick, and then they're going to tighten up, and then I'm going to have my moments. And so that's a great way to play the game, and it's why I think we've been really efficient on offense, because he keeps us on schedule, and then when those big moments come, he capitalizes on them.
How many different spots do you think you've lined up, Jim?
All of them, every single one of them. Yeah,
Not positions, but just like spaces.
every space you can think of, he has occupied. I mean, it's number 1, number 2, number 3, licking on the edge, and then getting the ball, trying to put him in the backfield, come across underneath, same side, steal. Isolated over there by himself. We put him everywhere. He's on the line of scrimmage. He's off the line of scrimmage in the stack. He's on the line of scrimmage in the stack. He's releasing underneath at 5 yards and breaking. He's pushing vertical through 5. So they got to be accountable for all that. I mean, it's we put it all on him, and he answers the bell.
What's it say about Jamar where, a lot of number 1 receivers in this league, they may want to just stay outside, and he's willing to go everywhere and pull
Yeah, he wants the football. He wants to help us win. I say that. I say he wants the football. He generally just wants us to win games, and he knows, obviously, that him touching the ball is going to go a long way towards helping us do that. But, again, there's been times where he hasn't gotten as many touches and we've won the game, and he's been as happy as ever, and so just proud of the way he's approached the season.
Do you have a favorite route from him yesterday?
I thought the 2-man route at the end was good. The dagger he caught for the first touchdown, the first long touchdown, I mean, that's a great throw, really good protection to get Joe that time, and then he really hit like a third window dagger off that buzz safety, and Jamar just run through that. But the selling across the field and breaking back out in the last 2-minute drive was a big one. We needed that. It was the late hit on Joe. That was a good one versus they were playing a 2-man, and so we had to try to get to a 2-man beater as quickly as possible. And Jamar, we hadn't done that with him this week. That was just during the drive made-up play. That's an example of what Jamar can handle. Hey, put Jamar in the slot, tell him to run a retro route. We just called it Jamar retro, and he did it, in a 10 seconds notice, and caught a huge play, But it's a concept that we've carried. Everybody knows these concepts. It's just we didn't have it in the plan out of that with Jamar F. And he's able to handle it as the call comes in and know where to line up. And I think we had a dead ball right before that, so we quickly were able to talk through just to make sure everybody knew where to line up.
How does that affect your evolution as a play caller, maybe? You see what the guys are going to do, how they're being able to kind of, I'm sure.
Well,
how do you feel like that affects
that's a staff being together for a really long time, and that's these players being together for a really long time. So you look at Jamar and Joe and T and Drew, Sample, all the things we asked Drew to do. It makes a lot of sense to him. Tanner being in the system for so long, he can easily adapt in game when something happens. Tanner, you're the running back now. Drew, you're the running back now, and no questions asked. And so I think that just the continuity, that's where the continuity comes into play amongst the staff and the coaches, where you're able to draw it up in the dirt, so to speak, and be able to execute it.
Do you have any plays called F if Jamar's down there somewhere?
No, I mean, it's just, again, trying to put him in opportunities to where that can play out, and